Dino Dana is the highly anticipated follow-up to the Emmy award-winning series Dino Dan. And today we're very honored to have the series creator and key broadcast partners here to give a bit of a case study to the new show. So I'd like to introduce you to our guests. We have the head of TVO Kids, Marney Malabar. Head of Acquisitions, Children and Family at Québecor Contenu, Sylvie Langlois. The head of kids programming at Amazon Studios, Tara Sorensen. Founding partner of Sinking Ship Entertainment and the creator of Dino Dana, J.J. Johnson. And our very special guest moderator, the star of Dino Dana, Michaela Lucci.
Hello, and welcome to the Dino Dana panel. My name is Michaela Lucci, and I play Dana on Dino Dana. Dino Dana is a series about a little girl who loves dinosaurs so much that she imagines them into the real world, usually with unexpected results.
Go trailer.
Do you imagine meeting a real-life dinosaur?
That's my biggest wish ever. Too bad they aren't around anymore.
Sometimes you just need to know how to look for them.
Meet Dana, a paleontologist in training.
Can I tell you something, even though it might blow your mind?
A little girl
Blast
with a big imagination.
Some dinosaurs look a little bit different, but belong to the same family. Wow. Mind blown.
Who takes on some huge challenges.
Dad, how fast can you build a Stegosaurus costume?
How many spikes does it have?
24.
4.5 minutes.
From 7-time Emmy Award-winning Sinking Ship Entertainment, Amazon Studios, and TVO Kids.
We've been hit by the Megalodon.
What's the damage?
Everything's broken.
A new series
Is that your mom down there?
premiering in 2017.
What is she doing?
She's becoming a dinosaur. She does it all the time.
Squawk!
Join Dana as she explores dinosaurs like no one has before. Dino Dana.
Today we're going to talk about how Dino Dana came to be. On our panel we have Marney Malabar. Marney is the director of Kids TV at TVO and has run an Iron Man blindfolded. Sylvie Langlois. Sylvie is the manager of acquisitions for youth, family, and sports at TVA, and in her spare time enjoys off-road motorcycling. Tara Sorensen. Tara is the head of kids programming at Amazon Studios and hasn't eaten solid foods in over 6 months.
A little bit of truth.
And finally, J.J. Johnson. J.J. is a partner at Sinking Ship and the creator of Dino Dana. J.J.'s hobbies include directing, writing, and professional abs modeling.
For the one applause. Right.
Now on to our first clip. Ready, Megalodon. Hurry, Commander! She's too fast for us! You may want to cover your ears, boys. Watch it. Why now? Why do you think it took until 2017 for the first Kids Dinosaurs series featuring a girl lead to happen? JJ?
Great question. I would say truthfully, I think as soon as we envisioned Dino Dan, we wanted there to be a girl spinoff in the same way that when we were doing This Is Daniel Cook, the next show that we wanted to do was going to be one that featured a girl. I think that we encountered a bit of hesitancy from networks when we came out with one of our girl-led series a few years ago called Androids. And so it just took the time to show that those kinds of shows that I think networks wouldn't necessarily typically think a girl would helm. It took this time to naturally get to this point where it made sense to pitch this version that we've always wanted to make. I think back to when we premiered on Nickelodeon in 2010. Thank you, Sims. When it launched, it was the #1 preschool premiere, and so we were super excited. And then when we talked to them, they were like a little bit bummed because they found that when the ratings came in, the gender divide of who was watching it was 50% boys and 50% girls. And they were like, well, we're disappointed because we wanted this to be a boy series and you've not delivered that. So it was like, for us, it was such a great win because we're like, that's exactly what we would want. But from day one, we knew that there was an audience. We've met. I mean, we're fortunate that we get to work with a lot of mostly great kids. And so, we get this chance. We get to hear from them all the time, and we get to hear their interests, and we try to reflect that in the shows that we make. So I think for us, that internally we needed to prove that, strong female leads in shows that were typically in the industry geared toward boys were ready to be paid for. Why did you pay for it?
Well, I don't know. Honestly, it was a natural fit for us, to continue with the brand. We had Dino Dana with Dino Dan first, and then when they come and present Dino Dana, for us it was a no-brainer. I mean, as a little girl, as a leader for our kids, it's amazing. I mean, it is, for the reality in genders, for when you watch kids content, when it's the little boys, the girls are very interesting into boys content, but the contraire, sometimes it's too girly or it's not the same. For Dino Dana, I mean, it's going to be great. We're sure about that. There's no
I think we didn't make this show yet because we hadn't found you. Because I think you are a spectacular. No, not you, JJ. No. But also, from TVO's perspective, it felt like a natural progression because, at the time when Androids was being made, it might have been groundbreaking to push to have a lead female, but now it's the norm. And the sort of character that you guys have created with Dana, it feels so natural, and it is really an example of the strength of trying to do those roles on the screen and how much it becomes normalized and not even, it's kind of go, oh yeah, of course there's girls looking for dinosaurs, and the fit is perfect.
I think for Amazon in the US, it was, really about breaking down some boundaries. I think oftentimes the creative is led by the advertising industry. And so, I think it's a common belief that boys will watch boy shows, but girls won't watch boy shows. And so they sort of cater to a more male demographic. In Amazon, we're trying to look for a more of an individualized experience, similar to, the retail portion of our company where everybody's page looks different. It feels custom tailored to them. And so for me, it was always about making sure that girls were more represented on screen. I thought there was a big void. And so, maybe we did sort of overcorrect, because right now, if you look at our lineup, it is mostly female protagonists. And so I think the challenge is to make sure that we represent boys that feel more dimensional and authentic.
That's right. And I guess why it's timely, I mean, what was interesting is when we were making this show over the last couple of months, we got a fan mail. Do you want to talk about that fan mail that you got?
There was a little girl, she got bullied at school because she liked dinosaurs, and the kids at school told her that no, girls can't like dinosaurs, boys can only like dinosaurs. And the mom said that she was really excited that there was this Dino Dana show coming out because it made the girl happy because she felt there was another girl that liked dinosaurs out there.
That's cute, yeah. She is obviously visiting set. She will probably have a walk-on role and get T-shirts and stuff. So yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I think she's got her own spinoff.
That's probably.
How?
Oh, do you want to go into our next video?
Sure. Think, Dana, think. How can you save the Titanoboa? How would I protect my egg? Now, what are we gonna do? I know. Hey, T-Rex, over here! Squawk! 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 Eat this one! Dinosaurs, friends! Run! Dino, what are you doing? Solving a dino experiment. Good job, baby Spido. Zara, you won't believe it. Zara? Zara. Dina? Sorry, couldn't help myself. I'm never gonna pass. That's not true. You just have to get over your fear of heights.
Easy for you to say. You're not afraid of anything.
That's not true. I used to be afraid of dinosaurs.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, when I first heard about them, I thought they were big and scary and mean looking. Especially the T-Rex. But when I started learning about them, I realized they were super interesting, mostly because they survived on being big and mean and scary looking.
Well, I don't think learning about heights is going to help me get over my fear.
No, but when I get scared now, I pretend I'm a dinosaur. It works every time.
Is that why you roar sometimes at night?
I'm a little bit scared of the dark. Come on, Dino Diving School is about to begin. How do you create a girl hero who doesn't just act as a boy?
By interacting with real kids. You know, I think JJ has done a great job of that. I mean, even in casting, like, you can tell that they interact with kids all the time. And so, you know, I would bet that most people in this room know a Dana in their own life. You know, and I think you see through Dana's character that, you know, especially through those stories, there's a lot of maternal moments, even that moment with Sarah where she's trying to help her get over a fear. You know, I think there's a beautifully artistic piece of Dana too that, you know, past all that sort of determination and grit, you see a sort of softer side of who she is.
And Dana has grit's a really good word to use because that's the character that you constantly give us on the screen. But with that, you also have such fun. Dana's character has this really interesting backpack, and it can transform into everything she wants it to be from a dinosaur. But it's really beautiful and it's arts and crafty, and she has these buttons and these pins, and so you could classify that stuff as more girly, but it really matches your personality well. And look at the outfit you're wearing. Like, I mean, I think there's a whole statement that gets put together that gives us that whole illusion of a really smart, young, strong female with lots of grit.
Yeah, it's the it's the good thing about having a good script as well. So you don't think it's a girl or a boy. I mean, you just follow the episode and you just fall in love with Dana.
Sure. I would say that it's something that's taken us time to get to. When we thinking back to androids, I think the one thing that we did was we made her, I guess, more traditionally masculine. She didn't care about her appearance. She had a few little things, but it was very kind of there was no color to her outfits. It was not something that was a concern, and we balanced that with the Shania character, who was your kind of classic, typically outgoing. On Odd Squad season 1, if you look at our female leads, we so wanted powerful girl lead characters that we had Mizzo, Dr. O, Orchid, and Olive, who were all strong but stern and not didn't show emotion at all. And so when we were talking about this one, and Kristen's here, Kristen's executive producer on the show, and we write all the stories together. It was really spending a lot of time trying to figure out how can you have this personality that is unafraid to go up against a T-Rex, but still have a softer feminine side. And I think we've gotten hopefully better with how we tell our stories, that there is like a social moment to it. So it's not like an A plot that's just dinosaur, that you leave room and the capacity to show that. I also think, in credit to you, but you are, as you get to know your cast, I think the character starts to tilt towards them. And I would say, we were talking about this just a little while ago. You are very much like Dana.
Mm-hmm.
How so?
Well, Dana is very confident in her work. I feel that I am sometimes confident in my work too. I am scared of quite a few things, but Dana, I feel, Dana's fearless, and I look up to that, and sometimes I'm like, wow, why can't I be fearless like her? It's
beautiful. Hashtag that. That's it. Yeah. No, but I think, so it took us knowing that, to your point about boys watching, won't watch a girl. It took us knowing that they will follow. If the story is action packed and there's adventure, they're going to watch it, whether it's in the most colorful outfit or not.
And one of the things that's really unique and special about the show as well is that you guys created a blended family where it also feels like the other characters, like the one who's sitting out there, the sister, or sister, however we say that. But the idea that everybody has warmth and the relationships that go on between everybody, between Dana and her dad and Dana and her mom and her sisters, really help us love all sides to Dana's character. So I think, again, that's where the strength, where you guys have learned to tell stories that have more layers to it. And therefore, I think they capture the interest of people on different levels.
I think we may have a clip of you and Odd Squad, and then maybe your original audition for Dana. Yeah.
What's left, sister? You don't want to know. So what's it gonna be? Who put you in charge? If I meant puppy, I would have said puppy. What is this? What is she doing? Who's with me? Just me then. What was that? I don't believe it. A real-life dinosaur? I don't believe it. Real live dinosaur?
I think we're going right into the next clip.
Why is everyone rich on kids' TV?
Do you want to watch the clip?
Sure.
Instead, they grab their prey and wrap around and squeeze like this.
Oh, sorry. I need it for my own experiment. Sister experiment 1 billion.
Ooh, like how much it actually hurt when you thought you broke your leg?
What's your point, Dad?
Remember how that turned out to be just a leg cramp?
I'm happy for you, Dana.
And look! They chewed up my horn.
Ow.
Guess what we are?
Working independently?
We're samesies.
You say so.
Why is everyone rich on kids' TV?
Oh, you want to go first?
I mean, I think the common theory is that you want to sort of live in a fantasy land with television, right? So you're watching a world that you wish you could be a part of, and so I assume that's why most networks will glam up, kids' homes and rooms and their clubhouses, so that it almost feels like a amusement park type. I was gonna say specific. I will refrain from that. So that it feels like this sort of fantasy land. But I think we have not just through Dino Dana, but other shows on Amazon's network. We want to make sure that we're holding up a mirror to the audience. We want to make sure that we're representing authentic kids. There's something to be said for wish fulfillment, but I want to make sure that kids understand that they can actually achieve what they see on television, as opposed to being so far afield of anything that they could ever come in contact with.
And I would say that's the same aspirational thinking that TVO would have, where really at the end of it, we know that you're watching a show like this to escape a little bit, to put your feet up after school. You wanna live in Dana's world, but at the same time, we're looking to work with producers like yourself, JJ, where we can reflect the faces. For us, it's the faces of Ontario. The idea that this is a blended family, that you have sisters that love each other but also fight with each other, and the economic side of it all. If you notice, when you guys will watch the series, eventually you'll see that they live in an apartment instead of a really fancy house. They still have a lovely apartment, and it's a great outdoor access they have. But it is an apartment, and the girls share a bedroom. And how many kids nowadays share a bedroom? Most kids, certainly in Ontario, have everybody gets their own space. But it's lovely to see the challenges that it comes with sharing space like that with your sibling. And that gives you great stories, but also sets a different tone, because there will be a lot of people who are watching, certainly from TVO's demographic of watching, where they live in high-rise apartment buildings and they really might have a family of 6 or 7 in a 2-bedroom apartment. So therefore, this is kind of aspirational to have your apartment.
And it's the same for us as well. I mean, kids can relate to Dana, to the Dana family, the blended family, the multicultural family as well. So, rich or poor, or you are in fantasy land with the Dino Dana, with the dinosaurs. So, yeah.
I mean, I would say we take a harder line to it. Like, I think it's dangerous that all kids see are wealthy houses or they're studying on cruise ships. Like, I hear that they say that, it's aspirational, but I think it's strictly escapism, and I think that's absolutely fine, and there should be entertainment that lets you get away, but it can't be 99.5% of it. I think to some degree there's like a business reason that you need bigger rooms so you can light them, but we are shooting in apartments and finding, and they still, to your point, they still look great and they still look fine. I think what we've found is that it unlocks so much story potential when you're open to exploring economic diversity in the same way that we're trying to do it with gender diversity and every other category, is that you get to start to talk about things. You get to actually show an aspirational character that has to find things to do with their time that don't involve money. We on Androids, I think she had the smallest room of any character on TV. She shared a trailer with her dad. Her bed was like, what was it? Like, it was like twice the size of that thing. And it was never an issue. And I think, I just think it's imperative that more people, you want to see yourself accurately reflected. And then for kids to see that can still be an amazing life and that you don't need the most expensive things, that, oh my God, she wears the same clothes or they're wearing the same stuff. It's not new stuff. It's not super clean. It's imperative that kids see that.
It's nice also because for that you're concentrate on the episode. You're not concentrate on the decor or
Totally.
So it's more valuing for the family. And
the one thing that we try to do on our shows too is to like not be afraid of the outside world. Like, I love that on this show it is a triplex. We have an upstairs neighbor, we have a downstairs neighbor. They're interacting with each other. They've formed their own little community, and we get to draw so much story out of that. But it's not being afraid of, like, it's not in one set. We're out in the world. We're meeting people. There's neighbors that are coming around, and she's safe amongst them. And I think that's, again, something that you don't necessarily see all the time. What do you think?
I think it's good that you get a different sense, like that not everyone is very wealthy, not everyone has a lot of money, that you can live in an apartment and still have a good life and be happy and enjoy it.
And the thing that we try to do with the parents is
the important stuff.
Yeah. With the parents is when we're designing the show is to try to figure out where we can have them answer questions that we would normally have to answer by using a tablet or something. So having the mom be a vet tech, having the dad be a nurse, just unlocks other stories that we can do. They can answer that question. If we have a dinosaur-related question that we're linking it to an animal, which we do all the time, Mom can answer that without us saying, I'm going to open a book or something. So that it prompts those conversations. And the same thing with the dad. We can talk about biology. We can talk about what makes a human person different than a dinosaur, but it comes through in natural conversation versus it having to be too textbook feeling.
They also do a really good job in this show too, which again I think helps ground it for kids to feel as aspirational as you guys have that embedded family time where they're at the dining room table and there's a lot of meals that you see happen, but the meals are really simple. Like there's nothing fancy happening. There's the cutlery coming out of the drawer and whatever, the pot on the stove. And it's not like a meal time is like we've got a fancy French cuisine happening. You're not really sure what you're eating, but you know it's probably what's happening in my house.
Yeah. Cool. Next clip.
Set. Action. No. Let's practice it. Let's practice it right now. So what's the line?
Plant, punch, punch. He's right at the table already.
The T-Rex came, and so then the T-Rex came.
And I think more sincere on that's fascinating.
Don't take your step in until he says his words.
There's my answer.
All right, that's a cut. We're gonna cut.
I think we have some of our directors here. Where are they? Hands up. Where are our directors? Ah, there they are.
Why are there so few female directors, and what can we do about it?
You give them a chance.
Yeah.
I mean, you hire them, right? They don't have all the experience maybe that their male counterpart has, but you have to give them a chance. And so at Amazon on one of our first live action series, we had, I think, 3 or 4 of the 10 directors were females that didn't have all the experience they should have had, but I felt compelled to give them a shot because they came from more of an independent background. I was trying to make sure that our shows felt different. You know, and there are other instances where if we're talking about a female protagonist, I want to make sure that I surround that story with women, you know, not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera as well. So we're working on American Girl specials, and all of those writers and directors and key positions are held by women, and that was really important to me to make sure, again, the story felt authentic.
I'll talk, yeah. Well, we noticed this, so on Androids, which is the show that we did a few years ago, we were like, okay, we've got this awesome female lead, we should obviously have female directors. And so we started to reach out to find them, and there just weren't that many. And so when we went to the DGC, I think, you know, at the end we were told, and I might get this slightly wrong, but it was something like 18 or 20% of DGC members in the director category are women, is it less? 17%. And so when we could, the few women that were available were working, but there was no one else for us to kind of reach out to. So we started a director's lab where basically we would have one of our established directors be a mentor so that they could be there while our director was there watching them shoot their episode. And then they would be there in the background while our new female director was directing her own episode. And I think the difference, and this was done in partnership with Women in View, which is an awesome organization, the difference was, and what they were talking about, was that there's a lot of training programs, but there's not a lot of like hiring after that training. And so this was a mentorship program where you were going to be the director, and there was one quote from, I think it was Heather, that was, you know, that from the moment you stepped on set, you were talked about as the director because everyone knew that you were going to be directing an episode. For us, from a producing point of view, it took away any risk. Like to some degree, we were getting, you know, 2 minds on an episode, and every single one of those directors did a phenomenal job, and will be returning. But it's grown our stable of directors from, you know, a limited pool of 3 or 4 to now, you know, 10 or 12, and we're hoping that with the next round of episodes on Dana, that we will actually hit 50-50 balance between our male directors and female directors. Yeah, which is great.
Well, and then TVO was really lucky because, you know, for us, because we knew of Sinking Ships Initiative and we were obviously all on the same page supporting it, we were able to leverage that even more by saying, okay, so JJ, who's on your list? And then we proceeded to share that list of people with other series that we had greenlit into production. And same sort of thing. We'd be saying, look, you're making 39 episodes or you're making 26 episodes. How about 3? You know, you don't have to do all of it. And, you know, I can't guarantee anything, but they come from a good reference and they've got a fabulous reel. And it's like you said, Tara, just why not take a chance? And all of those production companies, none of them came back and regretted the chance they took. So I'm guessing that they all now have a stable of some more people that they're working with. And hopefully that'll be some of the legacy that Sinking Ship can own, where working with like 2 times more and whatnot, that change won't be so unique after a while. It'll just be the norm.
What do you think? Is it different? Is it different having a woman director versus a male director?
No, not really. It's just that there's different styles of a director. I feel that sometimes a male and a female director can have the exact same style of directing, so I feel like there's not a change in the directing.
What's JJ's style of directing?
It's amazing.
That's amazing. I would, the one thing that I love too is over the kids in our shows grow up magically. And Addison, who plays Anne in Androids, just recently told us that she wants to be a director and wants to go in that track. And it's so crazy to think that it is inevitable that she will be directing on one of our shows. So to watch that happen, I know that some of our cast is hoping to do some writing as well. So there's, yeah.
It's nice to see that, you know, that women are more and more directing, you know, the movies or the series, because it's funny to see, because mostly, you know, in the making the decisions, you know, the maker decisions, they are women, you know, in content family, you know, youth in content family. So it's nice to see that there will be more and more women directing.
And what about the senior leadership at Sinking Ship? Is that also 50-50?
Yes. I would say that though the partners are all male, that we've made it. I mean, we've made it our mission to. I mean, we call it destabilize the industry a bit, but I think that we've had to work our way up, and you know, we started with live action preschool programming, interstitial programming, and from there, literally clawed up minute by minute to the point where last year we got our first movie. But we know the struggle; it's not easy. Convincing people that you should be given your first shot. And so we're hoping to be that platform that opens it up across the board and lets new voices in, because when you're starting, you know, there's a lot of big established houses that have done it this way, and that's the way that it goes. And I think from the very beginning, our inexperience has been our biggest asset, because we just don't think that anything's impossible, and that when we see a problem like there are not enough girl leads, then let's create awesome shows with girl leads. There's not enough female directors, let's get more female directors out there. And Kristen Sims is here, and Kate Sanigan, and Marilyn Knass. Carla, there you go. There, yes. Tepid. Great question, Tara.
I don't think you totally answered it, but I...
We're selling shares, so whoever, yeah.
We let that sit for a bit, and then add this year's secret ingredient, a mirchi pepper.
Dad, I can't believe it. You took 2 bites of the spiciest pepper on earth.
Me neither. Ah! My mouth is burning.
So I think we're heading down to 10 minutes. So just on this, just a quick thought on this. It's almost the same thing. We want to represent ethnic diversity on our shows. To do that, we wanted to have a blended family, so that it's not that excuse. I think sometimes we hear like, oh, well, it's a Caucasian family, everyone has to be Caucasian. And it's like, well, you can just tweak that story. Have a blended family. Have adopted kids. Do whatever you want. Like, it's TV. You shouldn't be constrained by that. But to that same point, it was then introducing us to writers, some who would give us new ideas and new viewpoints. And I think what was great about that experience in having a writer summit where we had writers that we had not worked with before was hearing their take on, memories, their childhood that was more reflective of our characters. So that's just been another thing that's been great for us to kind of unlock our minds to other stories that we would not have naturally come up with. I would watch another clip. No?
We run this. Yeah. Girls, we run this. Yeah. Girls, we run this. Yeah. Girls, we run this. Girls, who run the world? 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 Girls, who run this? Who run this? Who run this? Girls, who run this? Who run the world?
Why are there still less girls on TV than boys?
So I can just, because the interesting thing is, so Androids was inspired by a Pre-Jeunesse study that showed that only 1 out of every 3 characters in live action is a girl, and only 1 out of every 4 in animation is a girl. And they recently, like 2 years ago, did an update and found that it was just as bad, if not slightly worse. And so though, you know what I mean, like it's tough because though you feel like you're seeing more, statistically, it's still not there. And we were talking a bit about like other roles that you've gone out for that are kind of your classic. Like what were you saying?
Like there's a lot of girly girl roles, like all happy and fun, rainbows, unicorns. Like you've never seen like a girl like Dana. Like it's kind of like more like a tomboy. It's different because Dana's character is very different from the rest. She's fearless. She's not afraid like of what other people think of her, and I think that's.
I like what you said downstairs. You were saying that sometimes you go out for an audition and it's like the love interest, and you said, why can't the
guys be the love interest for the girl?
Oh.
Why can't it be the other way around?
Dylan.
There's nothing to add.
The thing that's interesting when you give those stats, JJ, is that I suppose it depends upon what lens you're looking at those stats from. Because for TVO, primarily because of our success at working with companies like Sinking Ship, where we've changed that model and made such successful programs with strong girl characters, almost all of our shows now have strong girl characters. They may not be on the channel quite yet. They might still be in the pipeline in production. But I think the really exciting point that, certainly slowly the change will go the other way, where you'll find that nice balance of hopefully the next time Pre-Jeunesse does a survey, the stats will be different.
Sure. And I think the one thing just to make the one thing that we did from a production company point of view is we just list out our characters and make sure it's 50-50. Like it's not the most complicated process to be like, this is it. And I would say for networks, like when that comes in and the script comes in, it's just like, why? Just make it 50-50, choose it, audition as if they're not a male or female, see who's the best and do that split. Because sometimes what this report found is that yes, you would have the one girl lead, but everyone else would be a boy. You know what I mean? And what the problem happens is that girl then has to represent everything, every possible characteristic. Whereas when you have other girl characters on the show, you can spread up those personality traits, like Sarah, the older sister. Yeah.
I mean, Common Sense just came out with a study today, I think, or yesterday, and I assume this was just US, but that the streaming services are doing a better job of representing diversity on screen. And so, a number of our shows were nominated alongside Netflix. I think PBS was up there as third, and then there was definitely a decrease in the network, the broadcasters.
Who was number one?
I think it was Netflix.
Oh, Netflix. Oh, that's weird. Question period.
It said Netflix, Amazon, and PBS.
Does anyone have any questions?
I think you have to, unfortunately, we're going to get you a microphone if that's cool.
Perfect. So I know that androids had a lot of backlash, and they did want it to be a boy character instead. Did Dino Dana have the same kind of backlash, or has it gotten a lot better since then?
I would say 1,000 times better, to the point where when we just took Dana out to market a couple of months ago, and we have more networks coming on this show than we've ever had for another show heading out. So it's been picked up in territories that we would just never expect. Usually we wait till the show is fully complete. And so I think it's changing, but I think it's changing because networks are seeing that they can have success with a girl-led show that's an action series. And so when you can show that, oh, Androids has sold everywhere, it makes it easier for Dana, or even Odd Squad. The new season of Odd Squad, 3 out of the 4 lead characters are girls. And so when you can point to those and say, well, that's number 1 here or number 1 here, it makes it so much easier for this show to come through.
And if I may add it, in terms of acquisition point of view for Yupa, I try to balance the genders, of course, but it's very hard to find a girl character, as a leader. So to have it, in Canada, so it's we're very proud of that, because I travel the world to find, girls power, but there's none, or there's less. So.
You are clearly on stage with allies in terms of diversification, both behind and in front of the camera and on the page and on the screen. Often trying to push that diversity, it's still a challenge to push through the mindset of, oh, this person has experience, I can count on them. So when you're confronted with perhaps less motivated partners, how do you push through the mindset that's so ingrained of, oh, they don't have experience, we can't do it, when the answer seems obvious to us, but how do you push through that mindset?
Find other partners. 100% though. Like, it's not worth it. It's not, making TV shows is so difficult if you're not with like-minded people. For Androids, we had to go international. That was the first time that we pulled in an international consortium, which was Germany and Sweden. And this is just for the US. We were fortunate to be picked up in Canada. And it took the creation of Amazon for Androids to get picked up. I think we were like one of your first Canadian commissions, but it was fully rejected in the States. So it's like, it's not worth changing everything for money if you can find money elsewhere. And I would just say that this is like the golden era of kids TV right now. There is more money out in that system. You just have to go and find it, and find people that are going to support that and push it, and then use that later to come back to the people that said no and be like, oh, Emmys.
Just a clarification, you weren't just the first Canadian commission, you were one of our first commissions.
Oh.
You were in the first round of our launch.
Oh, remember.
And it helps when broadcasters can leverage the idea of going to the producers they're working with, and you're basically suggesting something that they may not like, but at the end of it, if it's the broadcaster asking that, 9 times out of 10, they figure out a way to hire 3. Like, I was never turned down. And therefore, you're right, there can be resistance at times and people might have logic behind it. But I think if everybody goes to try to make those baby steps and push for change, that's how change will happen.
I have a question for Michaela. I'd love to know, since there aren't a lot of roles like that out there, how difficult it was for you to play the role against nothing, right? There's no dinosaurs in front of you when you're acting. So how did that process go, and how have you evolved, I guess, in the last few weeks?
Well, in our first few weeks, it was definitely harder because in between all the takes to be like, okay, your eye line needs to be higher. The dinosaur is going to be over there. The dinosaur is going to do this. You're going to touch the dinosaur. It was definitely a challenge because I've never interacted with animation in a live action show before. But I feel as the show went on and as we continued filming, that I got used to it. And I've gotten better at it. Not saying that I'm perfect, but I've gotten better at it, like interacting with the dinosaurs, because you just have to imagine they're there.
Well, I think you're a pro at it now because you can be like, you're telling the adult actors sometimes, you're like, okay, the T-Rex is going to come down there, the Quetzalcoatlus is going to go, I'm going to look down there and then up there. Like, you do that now. I think where we're lucky is what we found is it's usually the kids have no problem because when they're playing, I think when kids play, they do see the things that they're playing. I find the adults, when they come out, have a harder time kind of pretending or acting against nothingness. I don't know. Do you find that sometimes?
Sometimes I feel like there's nothing there, but when we go into animation, it's like, wow, it's like it was there. It's like it's like it looks like it was actually there, and I was mind blown.
Okay. You talked before about well, actually, okay, Odd Squad. You have a fairly it's more of an ensemble cast. It's fairly easy to split, I guess, the boy and girl characters and so on. And you talked earlier about having a show with an audience that's 50-50 and that's actually pretty rare and amazing, I think. And what do you find with your audiences for the girl-driven shows like Dino Dana and Androids? Do you find a huge number of boys watching as well?
I was just gonna say I don't think they're girl forward shows and that there's a female protagonist, but I don't think they're girl, gender specific shows. I think that's the beauty of what, Sinking Ship has done is that these are great characters regardless of their sex. So you do have a pretty neutral audience watching. Boys and girls alike love Dino Dana. Girls and boys alike love androids. I was just at EdFu a couple weeks ago, and I met a super fan, a 7-year-old super fan male from Androids that like thought Anne was a second coming. And
Which she is.
she absolutely is. But I don't think for that viewer, I don't think he thinks about Androids as a girl show. He thinks about that as his favorite kids show, and it just so happens to have a kick, pardon my French, ass female at the center.
Yeah.
Well, and for TVO, it'll be, well, and also all of us, because we all have Dino Dan and then Dino Dan's Trek. So the interesting thing is that we have every intention that the audience that loves those shows are going to just migrate right over to Dana, but we don't intend that they'll stop watching those shows either. We still will have them on the channel. So the interesting thing will be is that we think that they're just going to look at this one and say they've just got cooler looking dinosaurs and of course a better looking cast. But I think that the intention always is that we already have a really strong brand of Dino Dan, and this is like the third tier of is just Dana this time with more high-end dinosaurs. But I think that the interesting thing hopefully will be is that those kids are just going to pick all of it.
I think I think you talked about it at the beginning with like advertisers and marketers. And I think when you even think about like a boy show or a girl show, I think you're already losing 50% of your audience. So we try to think of everything that we make as family programming. We want to get the adults. We want them laughing at Odd Squad. We want them to hear an interesting fact. We want them to talk about a show. We don't want to answer everything in our show. We want to spark a moment and prompt conversation. So we don't hit a show being like, oh, this is our girl property or boy property. We're literally trying to hit families at all times. Hit families at all times. Something weird about that. Yeah. All right. Any other? Oh.
Hey. So you guys are diversifying on like every level. So I'm curious about like the films and the VR component and how that has come, like where that came from.
Executive team.
Netflix #1, yeah. The films, the VR, yeah. I mean, where we're lucky is that we've got a really strong team at Sinking Ship with people that have been with us from the very beginning, and we trade on that knowledge and expertise. And because we don't do service really, we focus in on our shows, so everyone's pushing and thinking. So on the VR side of things, our interactive team has been playing with VR for years and showing us cool stuff and experimenting, and we're just kind of constantly having conversations of like, okay, well, where's the story, how are we going to use this, and we're just at the point now where we will be doing an episode of Dino Dana in VR, so a full episode, which opens up like a myriad of challenges. And apparently on the animation side, obviously they're animating I don't know how it works. I'm deliberately like do not want to know how complicated it can be, because then you feel bad asking for it. But we're just playing, and I think you just can't be nervous about trying new technology. You've got to keep at the forefront. If there's a moment where you're like, oh, that's interesting, you should be doing it. And obviously, for our shows that are live action CG blended series where kids get to be in fantastical situations, if we can go one step further, and now you're actually inside that experience, obviously a kid is going to want that, and obviously we're going to want to provide that. Is that any answer? Yeah. And we want to make movies. More movies, yeah. Where to go from there? Do you want to make a Dino Dana movie?
Yes.
Ask them. Just don't get it. Oh wait, I think there's something vicious back there. What is that? What is that back there? Does anyone see that? That's an interesting segue.
I have a dino experiment to do. I just want to thank everyone for coming to the panel. Please stay tuned for Dino Dana debuting in the last week of May. Gotta go.